So good evening. You're welcome once again to my channel. So tonight I want to quickly give you an update on what is also happening on volatility 75 and then what's the way forward. All right. So basically, as I had already said, sorry, I have to delete this. So as I had already said, when we looked at the weekly time frame, we basically saw that the market was on a downward movement, and then we saw a quick movement here and the structure shifts downwards, and then we searched up here, and we had to retrace a little bit into an area where we can take our trades and then move up higher. So basically, one important thing that I have to quickly draw your attention to has to do with the fact that we're still looking for price to fulfill an upward movement, but before it does that, when we look on the smaller time frame, there are some form of liquidity that price needs to grab below before it such. So our bias for the week is still bearish. All right, I have a bearish bias for this week on the volatility 75. All right, and when we look at the daily time frame, so looking at the bias nature of the market, looking at the daily time frame, we are looking at price reaching for certain lows in the market. All right, so with this week, let me come down to the 4-hour time frame. Within this week, what I'm expecting for the whole of this week is for price to reach to a certain low. So I'm looking for price to take down this low. All right, I'm looking for price to sweep this liquidity below this area as a target for the week. All right, so anything further upwards, I'm looking for a sell setup, or anything that price does up here, I'm looking at it trying to sweep um all the buy side liquidities up here and then rally down. All right, so let me give you the premise with which I said we're looking at this week. So last week I saw this as a sorry so last week I saw this rejection area. All right, this rejection block here, and price traded a bit into that rejection block and then was bounced down all the way into this area, and then so within this week price opened around this area. Okay, so price opened around this area, and then we expected price to rally down. Price rallied down, took down this low here, and then it quickly rallied back up into that rejection block we had here. All right, and when did that happen? Let's look at on the daily time frame to see, on the 1 hour time frame to see on the daily basis what happened. So this was as of yesterday, right? And this was as of the weekend. So this is Saturday, Sunday. There was much accumulation here. There was a lot of accumulation, and then price had to um redistribute, and then price has to manipulate and then redistribute. So you could see that the manipulation point was all this area. All right, so price was just accumulating orders, and then what happened? It had to dip slightly below this and then take the liquidity, and then it rallied up into this high. All right, and then what happened? So whilst the week opened on Monday, what price did on Monday was slightly beautiful, and I wanted to draw attention to it. So you see this area, price came down all this way and then was just still trading within this zone, and then it broke down before it rallied up higher. Why did so on a Monday, the early hours of Monday, price came down into this area, and where do you think price was? Where do you think price was? Price actually dipped into this area, and then let me show you. You see this last rally down, this last rally down. All right, this was the last area where price rallied down. Okay, so this bullish candle here was the candle that we had to consider. Okay, this bullish candle here, that was the candle that acted as the breaker. Okay, this was the candle that acted as a breaker. So price actually traded into this particular breaker here on Monday, and then it just took price higher, and then on the Monday price closed in up here. It took down this high here, and then it closed, sorry, it came to take down this high. So that was the previous day's high, and then that was the Friday weekend's high. It took it down. All right, and then on Thursday too as well, and then look at the other days as well. That was Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Okay, it took down all the highs for the week, and then it had to retrace back into the top of that breaker, and then spanning to let's look at the 12 o'clock. Let's go down to a 15 minutes time frame. That as of yesterday, let's look at the 12 o'clock New York session and see what happened around that time. So where is our 12 p.m. time? Our 12 p.m. window. So we are looking at 12 p.m. 12 p.m. around this area. So you could see that this was the time where price had to dip back into that breaker. This is the 12 p.m. time where price had to dip back into the breaker. Prior to 12 p.m. is around so sometimes we look around 11:30, 10:30, 10:15, 10:30. You could see from 10 p.m. all the way to 12, price was showing a possible reversal or retracement into the breaker. And then what happened? We could see quickly price took down from 12, nice straight from this area. Price came to take down this high. If you are taking a trade here, you could exit up here quickly. Price didn't, nevertheless, the late hours of the day, price had to retrace back into the London session. Price had to retrace back, and then it had to quickly rally back up, take down this high, and took down this high as well in the same day, the closing of the London session. Sorry. Okay, now what happened today? So when we look at today, price delivery was beautiful. I posted a video this morning showing you that price had actually gone back into the 4-hour breaker. Price traded back into the 4-hour breaker, which was price traded into the 4-hour breaker. So you could see that early hours of the day, price had opened and then it went into the breaker and then traded, retraced back, and look at how price respected this area, and then using this candle as a block, price didn't even retrace into the block. Look at this high here, price took down this high and then retraced into this area. So we could see beautifully price distribution here was really beautiful. Price actually traded into just some. So this one, my mentor usually says that there are times that price will just miss the other block by a pip, by a small pip. I mean, just to avoid certain trades to be triggered, So that was it. Price traded into the breaker, and then there was this rally away from the breaker. So look at this window. It was a nice area where you could have taken trade. And then let's let's look at the 12 noon time window. All right, from 11 all the way to 12. So let's look at it from this point. This is 8 a.m., 9, 10, 10, 10:30 all the way to 12 noon. So you could see price actually tried to retrace a little bit. So let me show you beautifully how price traded today in the 12 noon. So as of yesterday and today, price really worked with breakers. Okay, so if today, this is today's market, okay, from this area to this area, this is today's market. And beautifully, sorry, let me take off this, let me clear the chart. Okay, so beautifully you could clearly see that price had dipped down here, formed this high, we dipped down here, and then it came up to close above this high. Okay, price came to close above this high. Now where do we expect? Are we expecting that price was going to trade back into this fair value gap before it rallied back up, or what was the expectation? You know, beautifully there was a breaker here, right? There was a breaker, this actually formed the breaker. All right, and what did we see inside this breaker? We noticed that price actually traded just on the tip of the breaker, not even up to consequent encroachment, not even up to the mean threshold of the breaker, just halfway, just before into the mean threshold of the breaker. Price actually rallied away, came up here, and then came back to close in on the gap that I had opened here, and then quickly it rallied and came up almost into back into the breaker, and then there was a breakdown. Okay, so basically this is where price had taken us into. So 5 p.m. from 12 all the way to 5 p.m. this is where you're looking forward to closing your trades. All right, so you could have taken this into this break, from this breaker all the way to this high, and then it would have been a good trade. All right, that is just for today, but yet my expectation for the week is totally bearish. So we are expecting to have um, the week closing bearish. All right, so what is price doing? Basically price has just traded in back to the breaker, just retesting and then breaking down. All right, so let me also come down to the 1 hour time frame for you to see, have a fair feel of what the market is doing. So on the 1 hour time frame, you could also see that when price traded into this area today, it actually formed an order block away from the breaker. So this is more like a propulsion block that has been formed away from that breaker. The breaker is also another block, you know, so this is another block in a very nice way. All right, so this other block, where did price trade to? Price actually traded into the main threshold of that other block. Okay, look at where the bodies are, expecting it beautifully, and the price traded into the main threshold of this other block, and then we expect price to break down. And what's my expectation? As I said earlier on, what I'm expecting is for price to take down the equal all the lows here. I'm expecting price to wash it off. All right, so basically that has been so far what has been transpiring on the market for volatility 75. All right, so to just go over, we have the breaker. All right, so sorry, we have the rejection block. So rejection block basically has to do with where we have highs, and then we have price trade back into the high but doesn't break it. High, that's especially that is left with long wick candles. All right, long wick candles, and then price trades back into it and doesn't violate it or doesn't break it, and then what it does is it trades away from it, and you can see it from when price would makes an attempt to go back into that area. You can see clearly the rejection. Look at where the bodies of this candle are. We are clearly respecting the rejection area of that old rejection block here, you know. So price has been beautifully delivered, so we are expecting lower prices. But nevertheless, on the smaller time frame, we may have windows that price has to fulfill, you know, which to make on today's market. I was even trying to break it further down for you to see where the breaker, where price had to trade directly into this breaker. Even when you bring it further down on the 5 minute time frame, look at this. So this was the area, the swing leg that we will find our breaker. So price moved from this point to this point. All right, so let me quickly bring it. Price moves from this point to point A to point B. We find beautifully our breaker hidden in here. All right, we use all these candles, but to refine it further on the smaller time frame, this is the breaker. All right, and price treats just into the breaker beautifully here, into the breaker beautifully here, and then it just takes price higher. And then what did they do? It took down this high here, and then it took down this high here, and then this high as well, and then quickly is breaking down into this price point. All right, so guys, this is all that I have for you today. Let's see what tomorrow presents, and then I'll give you live update on if there is any trade to be taken tomorrow. So I don't enjoy trading on Mondays, and I like to take trades from Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, and then probably if I see some Friday market which is very far away from the range, I look at where market has got into, and then if I see that market had to come back into the range, I'll take a trade to see if you market will have to retrace into the range. All right, so basically this is where the week is heading towards. So for instance, look at this market. The previous week we had a range from this area all the way down to this area. Okay, so it's no surprising that as the week was ending, we're seeing price trying to push back close into the middle of the range, and it couldn't do that, so it had to do that within this week, and it's back into the range for last week. So if we are going to expand, we are going to look at the range from this week all the way down to this point. All right, so this is for last week, and where is the mean? This is it. So price actually, when it started the week, it came all the way back into the mean of the range, and then price is now going to do its own delivery. All right, so this is just a quick one. I'm going to give you another update on what the market will be doing for volatility 100 as well in the next video. So stay tuned. I want you to subscribe to the channel and then share for others to also join, and I believe that as we grow together. All right, you can join my Telegram page on the link provided below, and I believe that we'll all do well on the market. Okay, we'll all do well on the market. So I wish you all the best. Stay blessed. Have the best of the day.